Dear men, this is Deacon Stephen Robinson for God Squad Canada. In particular, this month's February Man Update is to promote our God Squad Men's Conference coming up on the Feast of St. Joseph, right around the Feast of St. Joseph, March 19th. And in particular, we want to call men to come to this conference, but more generally and more importantly, we want to call men to be manly men in today's culture, a culture which is dissuading us, convincing us that we should not be manly in the traditional Catholic cultural manly understanding. And so we have Jeff Cavins coming to be with us, the great Bible teacher. Many people know about his programs. We have Brett Powell coming from Vancouver, who's in charge of evangelization for the Archdiocese of Vancouver. And we are promoting our conference, in particular, Change on the Rise. And we are encouraging men to come to this conference. And so I want to kind of highlight a couple of things today. Our Man Update, we call it a Man Update because we want to update you, number one, on what God Squad is doing. We want to update you on what it means to be a man in today's culture, but we also want you to man up. And so we're encouraging you to come to our conference. But I want to point out three things today. We could talk all day about the issues around men and our culture today, but I want to highlight three. The first thing is that men have been strongly driven down a path to sin in today's culture. Now, we always think that sin is the greatest of evil, and it is. But many of the saints have said to us that awareness of our sin can lead us on the path to holiness. Now, that doesn't mean that we should go out and sin because we will become holy through it. But Satan's goal, the evil one's goal, is not so much that we should sin, but that we should, through our sin, separate ourselves from God. That's ultimately Satan's goal. And I think he does that in three ways in our culture today. The first is that what we see, especially on TV, are images of stupid men. Men who have no clue how to be leaders, how to promote good family values and good relationships. They're self-centered, they're self-absorbed, and they're stupid, and they look around to everyone else in their family, their wives and their children, for the wisdom that they should have, that God has called us to be. Second is a leadership vacuum. Men are called to be leaders. Now, in today's culture, we understand that there's an important movement towards equality between the sexes, between men and women. But our faith has already determined, God has already determined that men and women have equal dignity before God. And St. Paul says that in baptism, in Christ, men and women are equal. There's no difference. So this separation in our culture is a false dichotomy. And so men have been convinced that we shouldn't be leaders in our family because we have come up with a false idea of what leadership is. Leadership is service. Now, I'm a permanent deacon, which comes from the word diakonia, from the book of the Acts of the Apostles. But all men, all people are called to diakonia, but men in particular are called to a particular kind of diakonia, which is our leadership focus, which means that we serve others. We lead by serving, by giving of ourselves. And Jesus is the great deacon because he's the one who serves. He's the one who shows us the true diakonia. We call him Lord of all, not because he is over everyone, not because he is superior, which he is, but primarily we call him Lord of all because he is the servant of all. He is the one who shows us the true diakonia. And men are called to be like Christ in that diakonia. The third thing is pornography. We've come very kind of used to this idea of porn. It's almost kind of like become a cute word that we use in our culture. And so I want to suggest to you today that porn is separating us not only from God, but from intimacy in all of our relationships. And we need to start seeing porn as evil images. They are images which present to us a fake kind of intimacy. It's a false intimacy, and it leaves us alone in ourselves seeking intimacy. It's false in every way. It's a lie. It's what Satan presents to us as a lie. So we need to start calling those images of porn evil images, and we need to see ourselves starting to hate those images. We actually need to promote in ourselves a hatred of those images, hatred of objectifying women, hatred of a lie, which is this false intimacy. Brothers, we are in a war, and we are looking for manly men. All of us have been called to be manly men. Without God, we are going to lose that war. Without God, we are not going to know how to be manly men in today's culture. With God, all is victory. This is clear in the scriptures from the beginning to the end. The first evil in the world was that man should be alone. And so we have been, because of the work of the devil, because of many ideologies in our culture today, we have been separating ourselves from true intimacy, from true relationship, from our wives, from our families, and from others. God is calling us back into a true and rich intimacy, and we will have victory in that if we turn to God. So we are calling men to come to our conference, either in person at St. Michael's Church in Calgary or virtually. And so we invite you to go to godsquad.ca to find the details of our conference, and to consider in the meanwhile, as we lead up to a new springtime, which is part of the theme of our conference, encourage you to see a new springtime of becoming manly men in our culture, in true intimacy and in true relationship with our wives, with our families, with all we meet, and with God. In this way, we will experience victory. I don't think that I'm overstating this, and so I'm inviting you to come and be with us as we promote this new springtime, this new rising up to be manly men. God bless you all.
And on that note, you also have access to Rise from Real Life Catholic for free when you register. So go to our website today and join God Squad as we participate in the 30-day challenge of Rise.